Episode 209, IRONMAN 70.3 Taupo with Jocelyn McCauley.
Welcome to the Pursuit of the Perfect Race. I'm Coach Terry Wilson, and with each episode, I bring stories of athletes to you that share their experiences at races in order for you to learn how to have your perfect race. We will hear stories from athletes of all ages, abilities, and races of all distances. So regardless of where you fit in, there's something in there for you. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now let the pursuit begin. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pursuit of the Perfect Race. Today I'm talking with Jocelyn McCauley, professional triathlete, about her recent race at IRONMAN 70.3 Taupo in New Zealand. This race took place on December 8, 2018, where she did a time of 4 hours and 26 minutes and 52 seconds. This is her third time on the podcast. Welcome back to the show, Jocelyn. I look forward to talking about your race.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, how was your traveling going down to New Zealand this time?
It's always been amazing. I just love going to New Zealand. So I don't even care. I'm squished in the back of economy with like 5 million other people around me. I'm going to New Zealand, so it doesn't matter. But, I always fly Air New Zealand because they are seriously like the best airline, at least going to New Zealand and stuff. And they let your bike fly free and stuff like that. So it's always good. Nice.
So you had a busy season. You went to Kona. You did several races I didn't even capture. How was your 2018 season before New Zealand?
It hasn't been too stellar, but in my opinion, I've had a lot of podiums, just no wins. When I had 3 wins in 2017, coming from that into, just podiums is just not as rewarding. And so, it's been fine, just not stellar. So, yeah.
Yeah. So kind of going from all of this fun stuff of 2017 to 2018, you did have a busy season. You went to Kona. How was this training in between Kona and New Zealand?
New Zealand, this Taupo 70.3 is always like the start of my season. So Kona is the end of my season. I've always taken time off each year after Kona. And so I took time off after Kona and then attempted to do Malaysia. That didn't really pan out. So we'll just skip over that. And then, went into Taupo with, pretty minimal training like I did last year. So, yeah.
Yeah. So we won't really talk too much about Malaysia, but you did start there at least.
Yeah, I started. Yeah, that's all we can say about that one.
Man. So your travel to New Zealand consisted of a big layover there and then headed down to Taupo?
Yeah, I had a pretty long, you usually don't have such a long layover in Auckland, but I had a 5-hour layover in Auckland, which honestly, I really don't mind. I like Auckland, and you can walk places from the Auckland airport very easily. There's like a really, really nice park out there that I've gone and done runs at, I've walked around, and stuff, and they have a grocery store and lots of, food places up the road as well. And they have like a luggage storage at the Auckland airport across from the regional terminal of the airport. So yeah, it's a really, once if you know everything around it, it's easy because you just recheck your bags and then you don't even have your bags. I had my backpack and I walked up and just explored and walked around the park and sat and chilled outside for a while since, coming from winter, being outside is just heavenly. So,
man, so how is it up there in Idaho right now?
We just got some snow yesterday, not much, just like a dusting. It snowed it was the day that I left for Taupo. Like, I left and then it snowed like that whole night. They got like 5 inches of snow here, but that was all gone by the time I got home. So I was very grateful for that. But now, yeah, it's just cold. It's not, you just can't really be outside. So I love being outside.
Man. So we've talked about your training in previous episodes and your life-work balance and all of that fun stuff in previous episodes. So we'll just kind of pick up with some of the basic stuff that really matters. Going into Taupo, what was the most hours you trained for this race?
I have no idea.
You're like just so laid back about everything. I mean, I try to get how many.
I pay someone. No. I pay someone so I don't have to know. Like, that's the whole point, right? Like, why do I need to know? Like, I need to know how I'm feeling, and I communicate that. And I need to know, like, if we're going into a hole, stuff like that. Like, I need to be in tune with my body. And so I feel as though, like, honestly, like, a lot of times people are too in tune with the numbers that they don't tune into their body. Because if you're so tuned into what the numbers are trying to tell your body, like, you're not listening, to this other whole, like, part of you that needs to actually be listened to, because a coach doesn't know what's happening on that side. He or she can see the numbers, doesn't know your body. So yeah, there's no point in, and like, you have limited brain space, right? Like, I have a family, I have all these other aspects of my life. Like, I can farm that out to someone, so why not? So
you just do what's on the training block that day, and that's it.
Exactly. It makes life easier. It makes life so much easier. I mean, honestly, like, yeah, there's days where it's like, oh shoot, like, well, we probably shouldn't do this because, of XYZ, like getting sick or a niggle or, something. But then there's also days where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm on fire. I'm amazing. Like, like those days where I just love those days where, you get in the pool and you swim and you're like, I am beautiful. I'm the most beautiful swimmer ever. At least you feel like that. You probably really aren't, but you feel like that. So
I do that and I look like a whale getting in the pool.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'm similar, but like, at least you feel like that. And so you want to like use those days to your advantage, and stuff. So yeah, there's obviously ebbs and flows and stuff, but I have no idea the max training hours. I mean, I know, we generally are around, we're around 22 to 32 hours a week. There you go.
Man, this is awesome. I mean, I asked how many calories per hour you get, and you said, I just drink. I mean, you're just so laid back about everything. I love it.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, you gotta care about what matters and not care about the things that don't. I mean, I'm not saying that nutrition and stuff doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know calorie wise, I know bottle wise. Like, it's just how I frame it, and it's just differences of framing how to think about something and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's, yeah, like, that's what it's supposed to be. So if you take things too seriously, then you're not. Well, for me, if I take things too seriously, the fun factor diminishes. Obviously it's different for everyone.
Right. So going down to Taupo, when did you actually want to get to Taupo in relationship to the race?
I would just be there like all year round if I could. Like, I would love to do that. I mean, let's be real. I mean, I started my campaign, like, when can we move to New Zealand campaign, right? It's never going to happen, but girl can dream. So I left, when did I leave? I usually try to get there 10 days before the race, no matter what. Yeah, well, and it's a 70.3, and like, honestly, I traveled to Malaysia like 5 days before the race, but spending 5 days in Malaysia before versus 10 days in New Zealand before a race is kind of a no-brainer. So yeah, I'd much rather just, have more time there. And I have so many friends that have become family, and just people who I love there. And so, and I just love the country. And so, I mean, you don't probably need 10 days, but I like 10 days. And then I'm fully, transferred over into that time zone and stuff like that. But yeah.
How long do you feel like it takes you to get on that time zone?
Well, if my husband's listening to this, like 20 days, but anyone else, it's 20 hours for me. I'm in mountain time zone. So it's like the same as like Hawaii, time wise, but it's 24 hours. It's a day ahead basically. And so it's 4 hours basically difference is what I think of it, for me in the mountain time zone, because it's 4 hours behind and a day ahead, if that makes sense. It's 20 hours ahead, but it's so much easier to just think of it as 4 hours behind, because you can handle time change of 4 hours. But if you think about, 20 hours of time change, then it's a little bit
it makes sense. Just go the other way.
Exactly. Well, it's just so much easier, to think about that with like calls and stuff like that back home and everything. Like, okay, well, it's 4 hours, I'm 4 hours behind. So, when I'm in New Zealand, okay, so it's 10 o'clock here. Okay, it's 2 o'clock there, kind of thing. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, being that you've been to Taupo many times, whenever you first get to town, what kind of restaurants do you like to go to? Do you have like a spot you always like to go to?
So I have celiacs, which means I have to be gluten-free. And so generally, in most of my races, I don't go out to eat, and I just cook my own food at home before a race. And then I'll go out to eat after a race, because if I get like glutened or contaminated or however you want to phrase it, then I am like out for like a good 5 days to a week, depending on how bad it is.
Really?
So I just can't have that happen before a race, But New Zealand is actually one of the best places I've traveled to for celiacs. And they're all like, every restaurant that I've been to knows exactly what you're talking about when you walk in there and everything like that. Which is super nice. But that being said, so the grocery store I go to is Pack and Safe, or they call it Pack and Slave, because you have to like bag your own groceries and stuff like that. Like, it's one of those kind of grocery stores. But I love it there. So they have delicious food. But other than that, like I've gone, there's Spoon and Paddle that I like going to. There's Body Fuel just right across the street from like Transition, and they call it the Domain, which is where the finish line is, Transition, everything is. That one's really good, Body Fuel. And then there's another cafe that Sid, Laura Siddall, introduced me to this last time. It's like Marketplace, I think it's called. And that one's really good too. They change their menu every 6 months, which confuses me because I go there wanting the same thing that I had last time and I can't have it. So, but anyway, so yeah, those are my good go-to before the race kind of restaurants. After the race, it is mandatory to go get Burger Fuel. So it's turned into a chain that's actually, it's worldwide. They have like one in Dubai. They're opening up the first one in America, in Indianapolis, no less. I don't know why Indianapolis. It makes no sense. But it's like the best burgers. And so the Kumara fries, they call sweet potatoes Kumara. And so they have like the best sweet potato fries there. They're just unbelievably delicious. And they have gluten-free buns. They have their fryer is separated, so it's a gluten-free fryer for their fries, which is awesome, and everything. So that's every single time I race in New Zealand, I go get burger fuel after the race.
Wow. So going into this race, what was your mindset going into this race?
Well, let's just go have fun. I mean, honestly, it was a string of some bad races. There was Kona, which didn't go so well. I crashed my bike 2 weeks beforehand, which is probably not the best recipe for a good race. And then I got a flat in Kona, and I decided, I guess it would be fun to ride on that for 40 miles. I actually really didn't know that it was flat until Shimano pulled me over and said, you have a flat back tire. So yeah, it just didn't go so well on so many fronts. And so that's a huge letdown, obviously, as a professional who wants to perform in Kona, and I know that I can have a great result there. It's a great race for me. So it's just a very emotional build up to that race, and then a massive letdown if it happens to go like it did. So yeah, that was hard. And then I went to Malaysia like 5 weeks after that to just try to get a slot to Kona, which because of various nutrition issues that we mismanaged. I will say we mismanaged that. It didn't. I had to drop out of that race for basically health safety issues and stuff. So that was there. I had those two pretty big letdowns of races coming into Taupo, and so it was almost like Emperor's New Groove. Like my groove got thrown off, and so like I needed that groove back. I just needed to have like a good result to get that groove back, and get back on the this is awesome train and stuff. So yeah, that was a very long answer to your what was my mindset going into that race.
That's fun. I mean, it opens the door for that would be easy for you as a pro just to go down into this kind of depressed mind state of, hey, I've had 2 bad races in a row. Why even bother for a third right now? Why spend the money to go down there? I mean, that's a real state that you could have fallen into. How did you avoid that?
It's New Zealand. Any excuse to go to New Zealand is a good excuse to go. So, no, really, honestly, that place is just a special place in my heart. And so, like, it brings back my mojo. Doesn't matter how thrown off it is. And so it was just like, let's just go and let's just go race for the fun and the love of racing in New Zealand, because that is such a fun thing. And I just, the love of that community and the people and everything there is just, it just brings back good mojo. So it was just like, let's just go and race and have fun, and whatever the result is, like, we're going to go, have a fun vacation in New Zealand.
Okay. So after you got there, you went to Pack and Save, got all the stuff that you needed to prepare your food and all that. Did you share a condo or an Airbnb with anybody?
Oh, I have a lot of friends there, so I just stayed with some friends.
Nice. Friends that are also athletes?
Yeah, well, she's done Ironman New Zealand. Like, he likes mountain biking. He took me mountain biking after the race. That was a lot of fun. They have beautiful, beautiful mountain biking trails there. Obviously didn't want to do that before the race, but, yeah. So yeah, they're athletes in their own ways. Like, she doesn't do Ironmans anymore, but, she, does other things, half marathons and, stuff like that. So.
Nice. So as far as going into the race, how was your check-in process and your bike drop-off and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's really smooth and painless. Like, they're the best volunteers there ever. And so, yeah, it's just go and get things sorted there. And, just like anywhere else, it's just easy and go do it. And they have great bike mechanics there that I am friends with as well. So dropped my bike off there and had them just look it over real quick and everything. And then went and checked it in.
Nice. So whenever you travel with your QR, how hard is it to put it together?
So I need 2 Allen keys. So that's it. It's super easy. I mean, I probably have it down to less than 15 minutes now to change everything and do. I mean, when I first started, I think the first time that I did it, I like YouTube videoed and like didn't know how to do anything, right? Like, so I'm like, you're watching the YouTube video, it's going too fast, pause, rewind, and then, okay, so I do this. But it's still, even the first time that I did it, it was probably like, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes to do. Like, it's super easy.
Wow. So as far as the day before, are you trying to get in a certain meal?
Just the carb heavy. We just have big breakfast, carb heavy breakfast the day before. And then, and then kind of taper it throughout the day.
Okay. Where did you get that strategy from?
That's from QT2. So Jesse Kropelnicki, who was my coach, has that strategy, and it's worked really well for me in races.
Nice. So whenever you wanted to get in bed the night before the race, were you nervous, anxious?
No, not too much, just because this was a race to go have fun and enjoy and everything. I mean, you asked me after March 2nd if I was nervous for that, and I will say heck yes, because that's Ironman New Zealand. So, I mean, like, I got to be nervous for that, or not caring about it enough. So, but no, I wasn't super nervous. I think the biggest thing I was nervous about was actually that it was going to be so cold. Like, I was just worried about freezing on the bike and freezing in the water, really. I mean, I had done some practice swims leading up to the race, because I do love their pool there, and I will, like, I love their pool there, and I swim in that all the time. But the Lake Taupo, or it's actually, so everyone calls it Taupo, but it's actually supposed to be Taupo. So it's the Maori way of saying it, and they're trying to get people to say it more like Taupo instead, because of the 2020 World Championships being there. They want to be more politically correct. So
it's Taupo.
Taupo, like,
Taupo?
So it's like Taupo is how they say it, but that's a very, but it's not like paw, it's more like paw, like with an O and an A in there, like paw, like, so
Taupo.
Yeah, that's closer. Yeah.
Okay.
Taupo. Yeah. I'm an American and can't pronounce it as beautifully as those New Zealanders, and they probably like cringe every time I try, but I try. So
we're trying to conform, I promise.
Yeah, we're trying. So yeah, but so I did some practice swims in the lake, and I love that lake. It's just beautiful, but it was a lot colder than it has ever been in years past, and so they just had a cold front that had come through and kind of just dropped that temperature of the lake down. I mean, one of the days leading up to that race, I went in. Everyone was talking in Celsius. I don't know if Fahrenheit. I think it was like low 60s, but it was 13 degrees Celsius, and it was ridiculously cold. Like, I actually went to their equivalent of Walmart called the Warehouse, and got like earplugs, like swimming earplugs, because the water got in my ears and I got so dizzy during like my practice swims. And then when I got out, like, you look like a drunkard, like trying to get out of the water and walk because of all of like the equilibrium being off in your ears. So I went and got earplugs, and I raced with the earplugs, and that helped so much. So
do you normally have issues with that?
Only cold water. The cold water really does it to me. I don't have problems with the water in my ears. I just have problems with the cold water in your ears. Like, a lot of people do, just the just getting in your eardrums and just messing with the equilibrium. So
Wow.
Freezing.
So, fast forwarding in a little bit, I know you're doing the 70 or not the 70.3. I was going to say that, but I know you're doing the full in New Zealand in March, and you have to basically win the whole thing just to get your slot for Kona.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about the new standard for that?
Oh, like my daughter would say, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. No, not really. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, does it matter what my opinion is? Because it's what is out there and it's what we have to do. So, like, just go with the flow. And yeah, like, like I said, like I try to limit my brain power to what I actually need to think about. And that's something that I don't have to really think about because it's not something that I get to change. It's not something that I get to decide. So it's decided for me. That's what I have to do. So just now figure out a plan how to do it.
I like it. You're going back to that whole limit my brain power. I only have so much brain space.
It's so true. People don't understand. You really do. You have only so limited amount of like decision making. You know, you have like decision making fatigue and, you know, things like that you need to limit. And, you know, if you don't, then you're not going to be able to do other things as well.
Yeah.
So
you get up on race morning. How is your race morning before you head down to the transition area?
Oh, good. Yeah. I think this is probably one of the first times.
Bless you.
Thank you. In New Zealand that I didn't forget something back at the house. So that was always good. Last year I forgot all of my nutrition, my FTC at the house, and my friend, I stayed with someone else then. He went back and got it for me. So thank goodness. And full in March, I forgot my wetsuit and had to go back and get that. So it's just always something. It's just always something. Now I have a list so I don't forget stuff, and it's been good. So.
Do you put the post-it note like on the door? Like
No. I just have a list on my phone. I just know to check it. So yeah, so I didn't forget anything, which was good. So, and went down, and me and Radka were like the first pros down there. We were there right at 5, transition opened at 5. And I mean, we were taking off at 6:40. So, I mean, I wanted to be down there early to get everything sorted.
6:40? I thought the start time was 6:18.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. That's why. 6:18. I was like, 6:40? That seems like a ridiculous amount of time to be down there. 6:18 makes more sense because then it's like an hour and 20 minutes to be down there. Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, it was super early for a race start.
Is the transition laid out the exact same way for the half as the full?
No. Yes and no. For the half, you have to run further. They changed the full this last year, so you actually swim up the river a tiny bit and get out, and so your run is a little bit shorter. Not really that much, but it's fun to swim around the corner and up the river a little bit. So that's for the full. For the half, it's just swimming and a longer run. But I mean, transition itself is set up similarly. Bike out's the same, bike in is different, and run out is the same. No, run out is different. No. Yeah, so it's transition itself is set up the same, but the flow is different than the full. And I mean, anyone listening to this thinking about 2020, it's actually going to be completely different for 2020 Worlds.
Because the Worlds is there.
Yeah, for Worlds, it's going to be different because they are going to have to manage a whole bunch of more people than they have for the half currently. And so, like, they are going to probably, they were talking about having to move transition to a different spot, so changing the swim up and stuff. They said they're going to test it out for 2019, Taupo 70.3, that they'll test out, like, the 2020 version of transition.
Okay. So, are you going to want to go to the World Championship 7.3 there?
Of course.
Lucky. Like, I just want a Sherpa sometime. Just let me Sherpa. I'll be your Sherpa. Just pay for my ticket to go down there, and I'll be the one putting your bike together, making sure you got everything. I'm a good Sherpa. Man, so after you get to transition, what are you doing to your bike? And I know you're putting your nutrition on there. How is everything going in transition for you?
Oh, good. Yeah, just nutrition on the bike. I had arm warmers in case I wanted them, toe covers and stuff because it was cold. So, yeah, I'm just making sure brakes are set, not rubbing, and tires pumped up for what I want. That's another thing is the roads are chip seal roads there, so you actually want to ride a lower pressure. Like Radka next to me, I had mine pumped up, and then she was like, "Oh, can you?" Because like they had like people who just came around to pump your tires up. So she was like, "Oh, can you pump mine up for me?" He's like, "Oh, what do you want?" And she said 100. He's like, "Oh, you don't want 100. Like, you definitely have not been out on these roads if you're saying you want 100. So I was like, "Oh yeah, no, Radka, you don't want 100. Don't do 100. You're gonna not have any teeth left if you do that." So, yeah, so they're just pretty bumpy roads, so you just run a lower tire pressure.
Okay. So what did you run?
No, that's a good question. I think it was like 85, 90.
Okay. So being that I know you're using Wheel Science, and I know you said you're over 40 miles at Kona with a flat. Did you get that repaired on your wheels, or did it need to be repaired? What did that look like?
So I run latex tubes with sealant, and so nothing to do with the actual wheel itself, just the tubes. So I didn't realize it happened when I was going up Javi. I'd broken away from the group, and then I went off into the median, well, not the median, the shoulder in going up Javi. That's a whole nother story. Anyway, and I think that's where I got my flat, and so I think it went flat to about 20 psi, but then the sealant was able to seal the hole, but not after I had already gone pretty flat. And the group caught me by the time I was at the top of Javi, after I had made more than a minute on them, and like they gained me back going up Javi, and so that by the time I was up there, it was this massive group, and we're going down the hill, and I'm like trying to pedal, and I couldn't. Like I could barely keep up with them, and they're just tucked in arrow. I'm like, why am I so in arrow? This is just horrible. This is awful. Like, what in the world? And I was like, well, I guess we'll go to the, velodrome or, something after this race and figure that out. But it was because I had a flat, and I didn't know until mile 92 that when Shimano pulled me over and told me. So it wasn't anything that I had to get repaired. Like, I mean, it's the tube. I just replaced the tube. So.
Okay. Well, I thought riding on your rim for that long would have done something. So that's why I was asking.
No, because it was 20 psi. So it was like riding through mud almost. Is
Gotcha.
Like how to describe it. Yeah. Or like you feel like you're just riding up a hill all the time.
Gotcha. Because it's so soft.
Yeah.
So after you leave transition, you head down to the water. Are you wearing a watch during the swim?
No, I don't ever wear a watch during the swim. I just had to think about that because sometimes I accidentally leave it on, but I did not. So.
Do you leave your bike computer on?
It's the Polar, like, it's just like any bike computer. You hit a button and it wakes up, kind of thing. Like, I don't start it and have it running or anything. Like, it's just I have it set to like cycling, and then I can just get onto the bike and push a button and say, well, push two buttons and make it start. So
okay. So I know you have a little bit of a competition here with some of the other girls. How was the atmosphere down at the swim start?
It was chill. Yeah, like just chill and I was probably one of the first people to get in the water for warm up. Like, everyone was just standing on the shore. I actually didn't know many of the women on the start list this time, so I knew a couple of them from previous years and stuff, but yeah, I didn't know too many of them, so I wasn't chatty or anything like that. I mean, I just talked to my husband, said goodbye, dropped my stuff off, and went to warm up. So
nice. Why didn't Sid race? I know she was announcing for the race.
yeah, that was fun to have her on that side, hear her throughout the race course.
Wow. So you get in the swim. How's the swim go for you?
Actually, really awful. So,
God. Don't hold back now.
No worries. Yeah, like it was really awful because if I can blame my husband, like that's like a good thing to do, right? So I was talking with him, I'm totally kidding on that, and before the race, and I just wasn't thinking. I was just talking with him, and I pull up my tri-kit, zip it all the way up, and then pull on my wetsuit and get everything all zipped up and ready. And I go out and swim, and I'm like, why can I not get my catch? Like, I just don't have like that range of motion in my shoulders. And I was like, maybe this is just on a little different. I got some water in my wetsuit to like reshuffle everything and stuff. And it was still really tight over my shoulders, and I was so confused. And then I realized as I'm swimming I should have been able to swim with Radka, like should have been able to, and I lost her in the first probably 200 meters. And I was like, what in the world? Like, why can't I don't have that. Like, I can't like swim. And then when I was coming in to swim exit, I was like, oh, so when I'm getting out of the water, like I kind of go through in my head, like what I have to do through transition, like, okay, but this and this, just a list. So I make sure that I have this, established in my head. I mean, I've done it so many times now, I shouldn't have to, but it's just routine now to do it in my head. So I do. And so I was going through my list and I was like, oh shoot, I wore my tri-kit up. I never wear my tri-kit up because so in order for it to be more aerodynamic on the bike, it's so tight across my shoulders and my chest. And so because of that, like I don't swim with it up because it's too tight to swim with up. And so yeah, I had swum with it up and I shouldn't have. It was a stupid rookie mistake. And yeah, so the swim didn't go as well as I was wanting because I obviously, wanted to be with Radka out of that swim instead of 3 minutes behind her. Like, that's how bad the swim was.
Oh my gosh. Like, hopefully there is more than, was there more than a 3-minute gap between y'all's time at the end?
Yeah, there was.
Okay.
But, you can't do that because, like, the thing is if you're with someone versus if they're 3 minutes ahead of you, it's a totally different race.
Yeah. So, being that you can't really adjust this in the swim, how did you overcome this mentally during the swim? You just basically had to suck it up. Yeah,
it's just, that's what it is. And so we just keep forging on. I'm like, well, guess my swim didn't show up. So let's just keep going. Maybe my run and bike will. So.
Gosh. So the water here, if I remember right, is super clear, beautiful, pristine. You can see the bottom of the lake. Super fresh water, like you can drink it. Is that still the same?
Yes, it's unbelievable. It's just, it's otherworldly. It's just, New Zealand in general is otherworldly. Like, it's just one of those places that hasn't been contaminated as much, as the rest of the world. So.
Right. So if I remember right, they actually had, for the full at least, they had people come in on canoes and welcome everybody with a haka.
Yeah, they have the haka. They don't do that for the half.
Oh,
I'm sure they'll probably do something when Worlds is there, but they don't do that for the half. It's a much less big to do as the Ironman.
Okay. So after you get out of the swim, you get a transition. You're in there for just under 4 minutes. How does transition 1 go for you?
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, I'm usually the slowest person in transition, and it wasn't too horrible. So I am. Like, it's just something like I'm trying to work on practicing and, getting it better and stuff. But it's a fact that I am slow in transition still. So.
Gosh. So as you get done with T1 and you head out, knowing that the road's going to be a little bit of bumpiness, how are you going for the first few miles?
I mean, I know that course really well, and I just have so many good memories and everything on that course. And so, I mean, it's fine. I mean, my favorite spectator is on that very first. There's like one big hill on that course, and he always stands on that hill with a pot and a spoon, and he like bangs it around and cheers for people. I just love it. Just makes me smile every time. So
is that the one video I saw you post?
Yes, that's him. So if you look at the pot in that video, it like literally it's been banged out because of banging it in the middle of the pot. Like it's been banged out. So like it's more of a, it's not just like straight side pot. It's like a bloop at the bottom.
Gosh. So whenever you get out on the bike ride, how are you feeling, and do you know where you are in the race?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of good spotters out there, and then Karen and James, who I stay with, they were out on the course giving me splits in several areas. So yeah, like I had and there was a spotter on a motorcycle giving us splits as well. So yeah, I had a good idea of where I was, and that I just continuously chipped away at the time to Radka and what's her name? The person who got third, Rebecca Clark.
Right, because you ended up passing them, right?
No, I didn't. I didn't catch them by the time I was in 2E2. I was like 45 seconds to a minute down. So.
Okay. I was just going by the splits that was posted, and it said that you had the fastest bike split?
I did. I had the fastest bike split by over a minute. So.
Wow.
I think it was like a minute and a half. So.
Man. So did you wear socks for this race, being that it was going to be a little chilly?
Not for the bike, because I had like booties on, so I was good for the bike. I did for the run. I always do for the run.
Yes. Okay. So what's something about this bike course that you would want to pass on to someone who hasn't done this course before? I already know that it's chip seal and it's a lumber road.
Yeah. I think something that my husband said before the race was, like, you love New Zealand. You love this place. Like, use that love to fuel, you. And like, he's like, look around and just enjoy it. Just really fully embrace and enjoy it. And I did. And like, yeah, that's what I would say. It's just, it's such a privilege to be able to race in these amazing locations and to be able to see these gorgeous places that, just embrace it and just enjoy it. So, I mean, there's a couple of my favorite views out on that bike course after there's a racetrack, like a car racetrack. And then you go down this hill, up a hill, and then down the hill. And when you go down that second hill, just off to the left, they have like, it's this lake, and then there's geothermal places around it. And so there's like steam coming up everywhere, and it's just green and hilly. Oh, it's one of my favorite views in Taupo. So,
man. So as far as the bike course goes, did you see a lot of marshals out on the bike course?
Yeah, there were marshals out there. I mean, I was 100% alone the entire day. Like, I barely saw anyone. Because you don't really see people. Well, I mean, I saw them at the end when they were, like less than a minute up from me. So I was able to see them at that point. But other than that, like, it was a very, very lonely ride of me, myself, and I. So, I mean, usually marshals try to go around where there is more action. and there's, more likelihood of drafting happening where there was zero likelihood of drafting happening for me. So
is that not demoralizing to ride the whole way without seeing anybody?
It's something that changed when I became a pro, because it's like you as an age grouper are so used to just seeing people all day, right? Like you're just there's always someone around you. There's always
people around you, right?
Always, yeah. And so when I became a pro, New Zealand Ironman was actually my very first pro race. And I remember going out on the bike course, and I literally saw absolutely no one until the turnaround when people were coming back. But there was no one around me. It was just that I saw people coming back towards, So I was like, this is, that's when it didn't click with me that, pro racing is so different than age group racing until that point. And I was like, this is just totally different. It's much lonelier, depending, there's, for the most part, I do have company. And when I was out on that bike course, I told Sid later, I was like, man, I was missing you, because Sid and I always see each other on the bike course at some point in New Zealand. And stuff. So I was like, I had no one to ride with, no one to ride with at all, during any of it. So next time you need to do this race.
Man. So how did your nutrition go? Did you nail it spot on?
Yeah. I mean, I got something that I feel as though we have pretty nailed down into, what I need to do and just go execute it. So, I mean, I'm an executor, like we talked about with, training and stuff like that with, coaches and everything. Like, that's why I hire someone to tell me what to do, and I can just go do it for the most part. Obviously there needs to be some feedback, but it's just so much easier for me to just execute. And if you have something laid out in front of you, like this is what you have to do, and you just go do it. Like, yeah.
Knowing that you have celiac, how hard was it for you to actually find F2C in the first place? Because you need to have very specific nutrition.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I love about F2C is that they are very, very, very meticulous about what goes into their nutrition, everything. And they source from the best places for their whey and, everything. So that is something, the passion that Greg, the owner, has for it is just awesome. And so I know that with his passion and with his meticulous sourcing, that I don't have to worry about things, which is just a very big relief to not have to, to have one less thing to take up my brain power. So,
right. Did you have other companies before you found F2C that mess with your gluten issues?
No, but there's a lot of other companies that do have gluten in their products and stuff. And I mean, I have to be dairy free. So I mean, I did talk about how their awesome whey is, but I have to be dairy free, and they have a vegan protein, chocolate and vanilla, that are the best. I've tried plenty of vegan proteins out there, and they are the best vegan proteins that I've ever had, better than Vega, which is the most popular one here in the States.
Okay. So as far as the bike ride goes, you get towards miles 45 and 50. How are you holding up physically? Are you feeling powerful still?
Yeah, especially since I could finally see someone. I was like, sweet, let's go get them. But I also have a little bit of a strugglage in my bike handling skills. And so I knew we were going back into town, so they probably would just keep the same, distance on me going through town, coming back, down and through town, because I mean, it's just turns and stuff are just not my forte. Something else that we're working on. So I knew that was going to be, hard to totally catch them since we were coming back in town. And coming down this massive hill, you're coming down into town, and there's this turn, and the marshals, I guess, didn't realize see me, or they didn't know that I was going as fast as I was, and they let this massive semi in front of me. And so I had to brake and lose all my momentum coming down this massive hill. I was so bummed, but I'm not going to run into a SUV. I know who's going to win that game. So
yeah, especially if you're on a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever you actually get to T2, how does T2 go for you? Just over a minute here.
Yeah, I was actually impressed with that. I thought I was spending a lot of time in T2 because trying to get my socks on and stuff like that. And I always, yeah, I don't know if this is really, it's not legal, but I always sit down for my 70.3s. I sit down in T2 and I pee. So it's like, it's a great opportunity. You sit down, you put your shoes on and pee all at the same time, you're good. So,
Gosh.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure, and it's in the grass there, so it's not like it's
You're not the first
noticeable.
female I've heard that does that.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's lots of us that do that. So I don't do it when we're in like a full Ironman and I'm sitting on a chair in a tent, because like that's just not polite. Because all those volunteers have to stay in that tent, right? Like they don't want to have a pee tent. So, but yeah, so for a half, it's out in the open. It doesn't matter. And then, yeah, went on my merry old way for the rest of the race, for the run.
Wow. So I know you're very meticulous about how you like to wear your shoes and how tight they are. Why is that, and what makes you want to wear them a certain way?
Oh, I'm a runner by background. And so because of that, like, I was one of those runners that would just take, I wouldn't tie and retie my shoes. I wasn't one of those people. There are those people too. I would just tie them once, but I would have to, spend a good couple minutes tying them, making sure they were exactly how I wanted and, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it was just the runner in me. So.
Okay. So whenever you get out on the run, how does the first few miles go? Is this the same course as the full?
No, it's slightly different. There's a hill that you have to do 3 times that makes it a little different. But other than that massive hill, it's similar. It's 3 laps like the full is, but it just goes down along the lake and comes back, and so it's much shorter, obviously, lap than a full. So, yeah.
So as far as the run goes, how long was it before you caught somebody?
I was on the second lap and I caught Rebecca Clark. So,
yeah. So were you feeling pretty good about this? Did you know that you were going to have a better day?
I mean, I felt fine on the run. Like I was doing what I was supposed to do. I was executing how I was supposed to execute. And I knew Rebecca Clark, she's not a runner. And so I knew I was able to run her down. I wasn't concerned about her. And then, Radka, I was hoping that I would be able to run her down, at least be within sight of her. And that did not happen. But yeah, I mean, that's something that I made big changes and stuff to lots of things to fix, because my run is just not what it used to be, and we need to get it back to where it used to be able to execute a race like I used to. So
right. So whenever you start thinking of your nutrition plan for the run, what are you doing on the run? Are you just going to Coke, Red Bull? Are you doing anything like that?
No, I don't do caffeine, so it's just a water off the course, and I didn't for this race. I will sometimes make my own gel flask from F2C, glycodurance, but this race I didn't. I just grabbed stuff off course. So
right, they're coming out with the gel.
Yeah, they are. I know. It was supposed to be out this last year, well, the 2018 year, but it's coming out in 2019. So
yes, that's gonna be so awesome.
It will be.
Man, so did you have any cramping or jet issues on the run?
Nah, none.
Okay. So how was the support on the course?
Oh, it's always wonderful. That town comes out for their races and stuff. So, I mean, it's not as crazy as the full there, but it's still just absolutely wonderful. And being a 3-loop half Ironman bike course is just, makes it a lot easier to have more people there.
Yeah. So if you think of how hard you had to push mentally to get this performance out of your body, how hard did you have to push?
Oh, I mean, yeah, not really. I mean, there's the races that you dig deep for those results, and there's the races that you are racing for fun and for different reasons. Like, and then there's also like, you're not going into those deep places until the ends of races generally. And so, and by the end of that race, like the whole lineup of the podium was already lined up. There's not much that I can do in the last 10K of a race when someone is, 4 minutes in front of me, so yeah, like I'm going to keep going and pushing like I would, but I'm not going to push to that absolutely next level because there's really not much way to pull back 4 minutes in the last 5 miles.
Gotcha. So all you're wanting to do is just keep the person off your back.
Yeah. And I mean, she was far enough back. That didn't matter.
So you could just cruise your way in and it's not going to change anything.
I wouldn't say I cruised my way in. I'm still pushing it and I'm still executing the race like I wanted to. I'm just not pushing to that next level of crazy, like mental drain, physical drain, and like emotional drain, just everything. Like it really, you can only go to the well so many times in a year, and you want to, obviously use those times wisely, which will happen in March, I'm sure, which I hope happens in March. Honestly, I love those races that you get to go to the well, you get to dig deep, you get to see, you just learn so much more about yourself. I mean, I love my race experience from 2016 Ironman Texas, where I actually passed out half a mile before the finish line. You really get to see who you are and where you can go and what you can strive for, and come out the other side kind of thing. More than a race like this last, 70.3, where it's, yeah, I'm like pushing, I'm racing, I'm not letting up, but it's just a different feel, just a different world.
Okay. So different levels of hurt, and you're just sticking with about 2 under the most deep, I guess.
Under the passing out deep level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You don't want to be Matt Hansen on the side of the course in Texas drinking a 2-liter of Coke.
We were both the same person that year. We both passed out the same year in Texas. It was wonderful. Yeah. We're good friends. So it was, he drank the 2-liter of Coke. I passed out and they tried to cram Gatorade down me, and it just kept like projectile vomiting out of me. So it was wonderful.
Gosh.
Wonderful. I know, the TMI. Thank you. But
oh man. So the last, say, 2 miles of the run course here, how is this for you? What are you seeing, and what are you experiencing that you can paint with words so I can kind of see what you saw?
So the last 2 miles is probably, from the turnaround in, and you're running along Lake Taupo, and it's just beautiful. So they have 2 volcanoes in the background, which for us Americans, the names don't matter. What it is it's Mount Doom from Lord of the Rings, and is one of those volcanoes. So, but they had been covered in snow the night before, because it got so cold and it rained. But so it snowed up there, and so those are beautiful, sticking out of the horizon with snow on them. And then the pristine lake there is just amazingly gorgeous. And then you run up along close to the street, but there's the beach down below with families like playing on the beach and, having their Christmas barbecues and stuff. And then, the course is just it's on a very big sidewalk pathway along that road. And, they're just lined with people cheering. And there's a lot of, I'm sure you've heard of the Cupcake Cartel, and there's a lot of Cupcake Cartel people there since they're, Kiwi Aussie people. So they had some people dressed up in cupcakes and, stuff like that. And then just lots of runners out on the course too at that point, because, I'm on my last lap. And so the majority of the rest of the racers are out there on their, first, second lap and stuff of the race. And then you go up this really big hill and then you make a turn into the finish line, and it's just a grass runway into the finish line. And hearing Cam, Harper, and Sid on the loudspeaker announcing the finishers and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just, and then finishing, I know the people, the race director and other regional director, the media people and stuff. So it's just so fun, especially when I'm at a race where my family is not at, to have other people there that I know well and can talk to and have fun with. So it's always sad to come across the finish line and you're like, I don't know. I'm a very emotional person at that point, not in general, but at that point I'm an emotional person, and I just want to have someone to share that with. And because it's not my own journey, it's a very team oriented thing that it is, and there's so many people who have helped me in that journey, and I just want to share it with them. And so it's just sad when I don't have those people there to share it with.
Wow. So what is the support like with your team? It seems like you have a lot invested in this with other people too.
Yeah, I think that you would have to, especially with the family, I need a lot of help in various aspects of my life because of doing this with a daughter and everything. And so, yeah, it is a very team oriented thing. And then, I think I am very emotionally connected, I think, with my coaches of past and present and everything, because it is a journey that you're going on together in a way. And so it's all of those people who are in this together with me that have helped me, that we're going along this, journey and this path together. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So after you finished and you got your medal and all that fun stuff, I know at the full here, you were feeling pretty awful, and it doesn't sound like you were in a bad state this time.
No, I wasn't bad. It's just half. A half is a half. So, you're done before lunchtime even is supposed to start, right? So you're like, shoot, what do I do? I had drug testing, so that took up some time. And
again, you got drug tested when you were at the pool the other day.
I know. New Zealand is really good at drug testing. They drug test usually top 3 people there. So yeah, they're really, really good at drug testing for that race. So yep, I had drug testing, and then went to Burger Fuel and got me a burger and fries, sweet potato fries, and so their burgers, they have beets and fried egg on it and stuff. It's
that sounds so good.
It is so good, and so I couldn't even finish it. Usually I can't finish it after a race. My stomach needs some time to go back to normal.
Man, so. What's something that you learned about this race that you'd want to pass on to for first timers that are doing this race next year?
Yeah. It's so hard because I've traveled to New Zealand, I've raced in New Zealand so many times. So it's it's second nature to me. A lot of things that I feel as though other people would be like, oh, you what? What? Kind of, what I mean? When it just becomes so natural to you. I wrote a blog post that's up on my website about traveling and racing in New Zealand. a while back, just because I figured I got so many questions about it. And so I was like, you know what, I just need a blog post so I can say, go reference that. And if you have more questions, come back to me, because I just was answering the same questions over and over.
So it is on the other side of the road, right? You right on the left?
Yeah, you're right on the left. So you have to grab nutrition. That's one of the things I wrote in there. Like, you have to grab nutrition with the other hand. So as us Americans, we're not used to that. So if you've never done that, like, go out and practice it, just because it's a little different, grabbing with your left versus your right. And if you're a little unstable on your bike, or, not familiar and stuff, then it's going to be a little more difficult for you and things like that. So yeah, like, there's that. I think we were talking before the podcast, there's a hole in the ozone over New Zealand. And so the sun is super, super intense there. And so you have to put on sunscreen, like, in the morning, put it again on, and, T2 and everything like that. Like, for the half, I only put it on in the morning, but for the full, I do reapply in T2.
Wow.
Because if you don't, like, the first year that I did it, I didn't. And, like, I literally, like, peeled twice off of the same sunburn. It was that bad. It was really bad sunburn. So yeah, make sure you really do sunscreen. And, yeah. And other than that, the other thing is, the nutrition sponsor in New Zealand is, like, it used to be Noon, and now it's called Pure, and it's just an electrolyte drink. It's not a carbohydrate drink. And so if you plan to take anything off course, know that you're not getting carbs off course besides gels. You're not going to get, like, a sports drink off course. It's just electrolytes.
Literally,
yeah.
No calories.
Yeah. No calories. If it is calories, it's, 2 per cup or so. You know what I mean? It's like how Noon is.
Why don't they have, like, a Gatorade or whatever?
I don't know. I think it's probably because, most countries try to have a local nutrition sponsor. Like, Malaysia is very similar. They don't have a Gatorade, a sports drink on course. They have called 100 Plus, and it has slightly more carbs in it, but it's like 10 carbs per bottle, which is, like 40 calories. So it's nothing. It's carbonated. So it's, I hated it. I was like, what in the world?
Well, that's like Noon. Yeah. Noon is similar to that.
Yeah, but it's actually carbonated. Noon is just like that fizziness. Yeah, so I think it's good on them, right? Like, races should support local businesses and local companies, and I'm glad that they do. It just means, I just make concentrated bottles of my F2C, and you're fine. You just have to know that going into the race.
Right. So we covered quite a bit about your race. Do you have anything else you'd like to add about it?
No, that's about it.
Nice. So in between now and March, you got any races going on?
No, I'm going to actually come down to Texas the 5th to the 22nd for swim camp. Just some concentrated training down there in hopefully warm weather. Will you make sure it's warm down there, please?
Yeah, let me turn the thermostat on. It's 58
I know.
Today.
I know. I've been paying attention to the weather, and it looks like y'all had a cold front come through this week. So, yeah.
Where in Texas are you going?
The Woodlands. I always go to the Woodlands.
So you going to go down there with Push Glide Kick?
No, I've swum with her a couple of times, but Tim Floyd does a swim camp, Magnolia Masters, so I'll be swimming with them for 2 weeks. Nice.
So, seems like before a big race, you do like a swim block, like a dedicated swim time?
No, just in January.
Okay.
Because that's when Tim does his thing. So yeah, I didn't do it last year. I did it the year before. And I like having not necessarily a dedicated swim block, but it's like I said, this is a very team sport, and I need my team around me, but I also need to be able to be in a different environment and have all of the stresses of my home environment taken off of me for, big weeks of training that I need to put in and get done to be able to get the results that I need and want. So.
Gotcha. So after New Zealand Full next year, what else do you have going on?
Some more races.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Surprising. I know. I just debating about Ironman Texas or not. I just haven't decided. And then if I don't do Texas, I'll do Lanzarote in Spain. That's in May, kind of around the same time that Texas used to be. And St. George before that in May, the half in St. George.
Well, if you go over to Lanzarote, is that how you say it? Lanzarote?
Lanzarote. I used to say Lanzarote, and then someone said no, it's Lanzarote. So who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That race. So if you go over there, are you gonna be seeing Michelle Vesterby?
Oh, I don't know. She's probably going to be having a baby around that time.
Yeah,
so.
That's why I asked.
We spent some good quality time on the Kona course jogging together. It was good. She's a funny character. So.
Oh man, she's a hoot.
Yeah, but yeah. So that, and then Vichy. I qualified the Taupo 70.3 for Worlds 70.3 because Radka already had her slot, so it rolled down to me. So I took my slot. So might do that. I haven't decided for sure or not. And Coda, all things going right, and then let's race again. So
nice. So being that I already know what your definition of a perfect race is, I haven't heard what races that are on your bucket list.
So I don't train or race on Sundays because of religious reasons, and so I really have done all the races on my bucket list.
Really?
There's really not anything else out there that I can do that I want to. I mean, I want to do St. George, I guess, which that's on the schedule. And I mean, I've raced in Spain and I've liked it. So I raced in Mallorca the last time they had Mallorca, and so maybe do that again. But that's not necessarily really on my bucket list of races to do. So yeah, I mean, honestly, don't tell my husband this either. But if they actually did an Ultraman on, they do them Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but if they did one on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I would totally be in for doing an Ultraman someday. I think that would be fun.
What if they did one Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Oh yeah, I would do that. As long as it's not on Sunday, then it's fine.
Yeah, so I actually know somebody that did one.
On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, yeah.
Oh, which one?
In Israel.
Oh, Israel Man?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that was, because it's Israel. So yeah. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Oh, yeah. Well, maybe I'll look into it.
Amy VT won it, and she did an episode with me.
Okay.
It's not up yet, but by the time this one is up, it will be up. So
yeah. Okay, well, I'll look into it.
Wow. So to wrap up the episode, we'll just do something new here. What did you learn about yourself in 2018?
Well, that'll be coming out on a blog post that I always do of learnings from this pro year of 2018. I have not written it yet. So, I don't know. I need to start doing that reflection. I got, 5 more days of this year to think about that and figure it out. I learned so much this year. I learned so much every year. It's just such a big learning sport about so many things. So, I don't know. I'll tell you when I put that blog post out, and then I can tell you then.
Okay. Well, I'll read it whenever you put it out.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you for spending some time with me. I've enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks. I've enjoyed it too.
Awesome. Have a good day. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you were able to learn something from today's episode. If you enjoy the show, please take a minute to leave a review on iTunes or share it with a friend. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to see pictures from this athlete's race, learn more about who I am, what I'm doing, or be on the show yourself to share your story, check out my website at CoachTerryWilson.com. Until next time, continue the pursuit.